Hey guys, it's Andy with Authentic Nerds Don't Yield. Just watched episode 2 of season 2 of X-Men 97. Just going to be posting the next one as well pretty shortly after this. My first episode review of season 2 is already up, so check that out if you haven't. These are spoiler reviews, so if you haven't seen them, I would check them out before listening to this. But yeah, overall, I really like this show. Season 1 was great. I think this season's off to a really solid start. This episode was great. I loved episode 1. This one's totally different though, so I appreciate that. They kind of stayed away from the main teams and everything a little bit. We got a bit of it towards the end with the team in the past with Cable, but I would say like 95% of this episode was in the 90s. So we follow mainly Jubilee and Sunspot and Cable, 90s Cable, and a couple other cool characters and teams and everything. So, yeah, the beginning, we see the X Mansion is destroyed and everything, and clearly the X-Men aren't around. So there's a lot of mystery going on in that world. So we kind of know what's happening as the viewers, but a lot of people living there don't know what's going on. So is there no X-Men? Do they need a new team? So what it seems is happening is they're building a new team. So at first I was like, oh, so what are they calling it? And then it hits you and you're like, of course they're doing X-Force. It's Cable. Cable's running it. That's like one of the coolest storylines. So a bit of a different team, but some of the characters come into the comics, earlier on, later on. Like it's kind of like a mixed bag, but overall, it's a really cool recruitment of characters. So we start off with the last episode, Cable recruiting Psylocke and Archangel. We're two insanely cool characters, and the designs are perfect. Like it's exactly how they should both look. I love Warren Worthington III. He's amazing. Psylocke is a character I've always loved, but I had never really dove into enough, and I think I might after this because of how interesting and unique her powers are, and she's such a cool design. But Angel, I've always thought is sick, especially when he's Archangel, because a lot of these characters have been like the four horsemen of Apocalypse, and I'm curious where they're going with that storyline too, with Apocalypse and his four horsemen in this season or even later on. But I really like these characters. So two big hitters off the bat, and then we get Jubilee and Sunspot again. So the thing I didn't really expect though is because it feels pretty immediate after season 1, but I feel like they aged Jubilee and Sunspot up a little bit, which I kind of liked. Gave them a bit more confidence with their abilities and stuff, and the design too. Like I like Jubilee's kind of more younger design, like in the last season, but she looks sick in this too. She's got the rollerblades like she does in the future when she's in Mojo World and everything. So that's still pretty cool. And just being better with your powers is obviously a win. Sunspot's design, though, I think is sick. I love his costume that he has. Like that's a comic thing for sure. All these designs are, but I love his design with like the red band and the raised kind of neck guard and everything. It looks sick. And then so yeah, I want to just go back to the Horseman thing just quickly because I'm curious what's going to happen. But one of my favorite characters is Gambit, and that was one of the most devastating episodes of animated like kid show or whatever you've ever seen. I don't find this to be a kid show, but that's how people see things. But Gambit dying last season was insane, and I can't believe they did that. But they obviously tee up an idea of maybe him being one of the horsemen of Apocalypse, being like Death. So there's a couple, I forget what the other ones are, but he clearly would be Death, and he would end up getting resurrected. So I'm curious how that's going to go. If they do that, like he would obviously get a redesign. That would look insane. That would be so cool. So I'm sure they're saving that and to wait for people to forget about it even more. But yeah, maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it's maybe it's something else they're going to do. But I think for sure that's a guarantee. So I can't wait for that. That's the only character I miss the most. But sorry, I had an issue for a sec. Yeah. So going back to the concept of like animation and like, you know, kid show, whatever, that definitely exists in a lot of cases where you have, you know, animated shows that are more for kids and adults can enjoy it. But I think there's mature themes in older television shows that are animated that we don't see nowadays as much. Design is a huge one. Like there'll be, you know, more sexually drawn characters, whether they be female or male characters. And that goes to comics. Like obviously you want attractive heroes and villains and everything. But the big thing that I noticed was like as soon as Emma Frost came in, I almost said Emma Stone. Emma Frost. When Emma Frost came in, she's obviously being like very seductive, and that's her character kind of one of her character traits, and kind of you know, being enticing and whatnot. But it was interesting to see that right after we see Archangel execute. I forget the guy's name. He was one of the Horsemen, not a mainstream character, but I should know the name, but I don't. The guy with the bowl cut, though, they kill him, and they don't really show it on screen, but they do enough, and it's just crazy to have such, you know, dark tones and the storylines of, you know, death. Like just death is throughout this show, and it's obviously huge. And there's always been dark themes within the X-Men, whether it be genocide or just like there's so many things that you can't avoid when doing a kid show. So I don't consider this a kid show. I consider this much more mature, and I think they did a great job aligning themselves with the old X-Men show because yeah, it's 2026. It's not the 1990s anymore. Things change. People, you know, want to make everything more kid friendly and, you know, not sexualize things. And I'm like, I get that, but I think it's also one of the things that makes some of these things great is making them mature. So I'm glad they're doing that, and I hope they keep doing that. And it was just a little bit. It wasn't like the whole thing or, you know, anything massive, but like I noticed them when they you don't get it in like movies and TV anymore. So I'm very happy to see that, and especially with Disney, you know, like they're clearly more of a child friendly like company. So having that involved, that was good, and curious where they'll go. And then some of the other really cool things. So I loved having it be X Force be the team. The intro is sick. So they change the intro every episode. Last season they did it a couple times, a couple clips, but this one was completely different. It was for whoever was in the episode. So we didn't get the original X-Men characters as much. We got the X Force, and then we got some of the X Factor. And X Factor is awesome. I liked X Force a bit more, but the X Factor comic is pretty cool, but it's a little different originally than when they keep adapting it. But so the new, more modern-y take on it was with the characters we had today. So, like Polaris, you got Havoc, Alex Summers, and then you get like Strong Guy, Wolfsbane, and Multiple Man, and I forgot who the other person was. The blonde chick. I thought it was. I should know who it is, but I couldn't remember her name. But anyway, those characters are great, and I like that they're following the storyline of like them kind of working for the government, being like a sense of authority. That was neat because you don't see that really with like the X teams. So they followed that pretty well from the comics, and then having it like X Factor versus X Force is really cool. But the biggest, you know, takeaway was probably Jubilee's fight scene. That was really cool, and having her kind of like stand up and be the character or the person that like everyone needs, and she's left behind and all that, so she's kind of screwed. But she kind of gets a second chance from Polaris, and Polaris is great. And I hope they do some Magneto Polaris storylines because if they don't, that's a missed opportunity. But she's obviously one of the kids of Magneto. They have similar powers and everything. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. That'll be a later thing for sure. But yeah, Jubilee, really highlight of a character. And I like that they're using her a lot in both seasons because that's not a character we got much of. And we actually start the X-Men show in like the old one with Jubilee, and so it's only fitting, I think, to have more of her. And I just liked the whole idea of like, because she's still a kid, she's more mature and older now, but like Cable has a line that kids are tougher than you think, and I think that's such a like well earned, you know, storyline for them to like hang on to, because X-Men are generally kids. They're called X-Men, but they're honestly usually children. And then the leaders become, older, obviously, and like Scott's a man, Jean's a woman. They're older. Storm, like they're all older. But like when you start off, you're a kid, and when you have your powers, you're a kid. It's like a puberty kind of thing. Most of the time, you get it at an age where you're really young. Your mutations and stuff. So I think having that be part of it, and have Cable still being tied into when he's younger as Nathan Summers, was really good. So I enjoyed that beat a lot. A lot of good like writing, like points and notes, and like it's just so fluent. It's such well paced. It's such a like I don't have anything bad to say about any of it, honestly. Like I think it'll be easier to, you know, compare it to last season, or like what are they, not doing as much in the comics and everything that they should be. But I'm happy with it, and I like that they are kind of doing their own storyline and everything. I think that makes it very interesting and unpredictable. But overall, like this is great. I love this show. I've been waiting for this forever. I'm a couple of days late to it because I've just been busy, but it's so good. Like again, I gave the last episode 9.5. I'd probably give this maybe a little lower, but like a 9.3. But I fucking love this show. It's so good. I can't wait to keep watching it. One more episode. I'll watch that. I'll react to that, or I'll review it after. And yeah, I can't wait to get more of this stuff. I'm assuming the next episode is going to be in the future now, because we haven't seen them yet. So that'll be exciting. Some good characters there. And it'll probably be one of the darker ones, and then we'll have to wait a week to find out. So yeah, if you have any comments on this, please let me know, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And just keep watching, and I'll post the other video very soon. So keep watching, and thanks for the support.